And she was like, results are out, aren't you going to check? Eventually, I will. And so I went home with my best friend and he was like, let me check it. So he sent me into my aunt's office. Then he checked it and he came over to me and said, I'm so sorry. Great attempt, no. And then I was like, I failed? And he was like, yes. And I said, okay. And then he was like, congratulations, you passed the bar exam. And I exploded. I didn't believe him when he was saying that. For real? He was like, yes, you passed.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. And we have a story that I've waited a long time to be able to share with you because this is one of the most engaging, delightful people that I've ever had the chance to work with. And I am so pleased. Ralston, you passed the New York UBE in February. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Jackson. I'm feeling relieved. Finally, that monkey's off my back.
Yeah, this is a pretty big monkey. How many times did you have to take this exam?
8 times.
8 times, but you passed. And you want to tell the folks what your score was when you passed?
288.
288. Is that awesome? That's going to allow you to practice any place that your license will allow. And the reason I say that is if our audience is listening carefully, they'll probably notice that you are not born and raised in New York, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I was born and raised
in Jamaica. And you are really a testament to perseverance and determination to overcome this very difficult test. And that 288 is a magnificent score. I think our audience would probably like to hear a bit about your background and how you came to be taking the New York exam. And then we'll dig into the process and how you got this amazingly wonderful score.
Absolutely. I went to law school in Jamaica. In Jamaica, we have it's a two-pronged process. Firstly, we attend the Faculty of Law where you complete the theory of the law and complete a BSc. And then after that, you go to the Norman Manley Law School where you complete the formal training and you graduate with what is known as a legal education certificate. And then you're called to the bar. The interesting thing is that after completing the Faculty of Law, you're able to come to take the New York bar based on committee between Jamaica and New York. So I migrated here after completing law school in 2014 and decided to start taking the bar exam in 2017. And I came across the Celebration Bar Review in 2018 because I wanted an alternative. I was just there studying and something was telling me, I can do this better, I can do this faster. And I just saw Celebration Bar Review. I saw something, I don't know, it must have been the law of attraction that attracted me to the year course. And I was contemplating coming down to Florida for the written portion of the workshop that you were doing. And my best friend was like, sure, go right ahead and do it, Ralston. Don't hesitate. And at the very last minute, I ended up in Celebration doing that work course with you.
Yeah, that was our boot camp, and that was pre-COVID. And it was a great experience. I got to know you a little bit better. But the thing that stood out to me, Ralston, was your spirit of optimism. I think you told me you were a runner. You were in track, weren't you, earlier in life?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. And you talked about the parallels between running and competing that way and taking the bar exam. You want to share a little bit of that?
Absolutely. I remember one of the things that has stuck with me throughout my bar exam experience has been the circle of excellence, where, one of my best races was my 800 race. I was on a relay team back in Jamaica, representing my hall of residence. And it was the final race of the sports day event. And I was running for both the hall chairman and I was running the race. So there was a lot on my shoulder. It was almost a tie between the competing hall and my hall of residence. I remember I positioned my colleagues around the field to say, please encourage me at this point. And you have to run the 800 meter in a very tactical way. My opponent had the baton in front of me by about 50 meters. And I remember when I got the baton, I took it and I caught him at the first 200 meter. And I kept running, swinging my arms and just going extremely fast. The circle of excellence requires us to recall a moment when we performed exceptionally well. And that's my moment I kept as an anchor. It really boosted me. I recall the energy that I felt. And I found that each time that I step into that circle of excellence, feel that light illuminating from me, whenever I sit, my mind is extremely focused and it causes me to perform very well because I don't have the doubts. My mind is just focused in that area.
For those of you that don't quite follow what Ralston's talking about with the circle of excellence, this is a drop-in exercise that we teach at our boot camp. And it's really designed to help bring you to that moment of excellence that you did somewhere else in your life. And I think the challenge for you, Ralston, you come to the US, you have to learn a whole new set of laws, rules, ways of writing and working. I think your previous high score was 261 before this.
That is correct.
You had to keep at it. You had to keep reminding yourself that you were capable and talented. And yet here's all of these new pieces of information and new work that you had to do. But one of the great things about being in the boot camp experience was that you had this positive energy, this radiance that people just gravitated to. They loved it, right? Your smile, obviously, people could see. It's just beautiful. And so as you talked about how you were going to run this race for the bar exam, there was no question in my mind. I think there was no question in anyone's mind that you would get to the finish line here, that it might take you some time. It might require taking multiple tests because there was such a gap of what you had to learn and accomplish, but that you were going to do it. And I never saw you discouraged. But I want you to talk about that if you would, because when somebody hears that you took the exam 8 times, I think their first reaction is going to be, why didn't you just give up? How would you answer that when somebody asks that?
Truth, Jackson, there were many times I wanted to give up. There were many times I was like, this is my last time taking it. But failure was never an option for me. And there's just this insatiable appetite to win. There's this knowledge that I can do this. I'm this close. Why not do it one more time? And I think one of my challenges was just my ability to sit and just focus. And so I think that in this last season, there were challenges, there were emotional highs and lows, but I think just maintaining your calm is so important. It's very important on this journey. Just observing the emotions that you're going through, processing it, acknowledging it, accepting it, and just simply moving on and maintaining your focus. I think that's the most important thing. Just ensuring that through the storms, you try your very best to just remain calm.
And I know that you always tried your best, and you incorporated a lot of the tools that we offer in the course. One of them was photo reading. That's one of the things we taught at boot camp. Can you talk about the photo reading process and what that meant to you?
Absolutely. The photo reading process, it's something that is actually very much life-changing, and I try my very best to incorporate it in my life. So with the photo reading process, it's a process of reading. So the name photo reading, I believe, would seem to tell you that, okay, I take up the book and I just take a photo of it in my mind. But I've come to understand that it's more than just flipping the pages. It's an entire experience. So you can touch the book and feel the sentiments of what the author, you appreciate the person who has written the book. Having appreciated that, then you start to delve into it, not going in it with this mechanical sense of I must get everything, but it's a process of appreciation. So by virtue of going through the topics, you are just simply appreciating. And then you take the photos in a very relaxed, focused state of mind. Having done that, you then move on to making mind maps about it. And I think that's a critical, crucial area of the learning process where you make the mind maps, and not only make the mind maps, but also speak about the mind maps.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit because mind mapping when you came to boot camp was when we really started incorporating mind mapping significantly into the course. And you were one of the first group of students to go through the full mind mapping experience. The mind map is a visual representation of the material. And you got really good at that, didn't you?
I did. I certainly did. In fact, in my previous study, what I did was I created a lot of mind maps because I wanted to really understand the black letter law. I wanted to understand it because in order to pass the bar exam, you must know the law. You must also know how to apply the law. And you must practice within the stipulated period that is allotted. And that's one of the things I did. I said that I wanted to be a master of the law, and to be the master of the law, I did the mind maps, taught myself, spoke to my colleagues, and just tried my very best to just immerse myself as much as possible.
Yeah. And I thought it was a great idea. You actually read the mind maps to yourself, you recorded them and then listened back, and you really started hearing in your own voice your own work. And that was how you activated what you were photo reading. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I would even make YouTube videos on the mind maps too, so that I could see myself. Instead of listening, I was the lecturer in the course.
That's great. I think you're much more engaging than I am. So I can't deny that. That's a wonderful idea. A great way to approach that. You also participated in our group coaching and our writing workshops. You really got in and took advantage of the writing style. Can you talk a little bit about what that helped, what that did for you?
Of course. So the fact law analysis, I think it's important because you understand, first of all, what is the controversy that this question is addressing, and what is the law and what's the analysis. For me, while I was doing that, I tended to beat around the bush a lot. I tended to speak about getting to the area instead of simply get to the area. The fact law analysis, it's very good because first of all, it causes you to contextualize the issue that you're facing and simply get to the law that addresses it and analyze. My issue at first was concluding. I just couldn't finish. And the fact law analysis methodology really caused me to put to the chase.
Yeah, and I remember during boot camp that when you were trying to write, it was very frustrating. You were just like, I know I got to get there, and I just can't quite do it. But you got it. You started to learn, and you practiced, and you repeated, and you got the coaching to employ that in a better way. I want to go back to boot camp for just a minute. We just finished a boot camp here a couple of days ago, and I was thinking about your experience because I knew we were going to have this conversation. What would you say about boot camp? Was it a valuable piece of your preparation?
The boot camp experience was actually one of my best experiences here in the United States since coming in 2014. It was a very rich experience. It was rich because it really taught me the composure that I needed to approach the exam. I needed to approach the exam in a very calm state of mind. I remember before that, when I took the exam, I was looking at my colleagues beside me and I was seeing them going through, and I was like, you need to be moving faster. And the noise in my head was very loud and it was distracting me from the exam that I had in front of me. So instead of focusing on the questions, I was focusing on everything else. I was giving into the negative voices and the loud voices, the scare of the exam. Going to the workshop caused me to recognize, okay, Ralston, there are strategies that you can use in order to get through this exam. The strategies showed me all of the different things that needed to be done. So you could do the exercises with your hand to keep up your energy. You have these tools that you can utilize. Go to the bathroom, do the circle of excellence. You know, when you come back, you sit down and it's game face on, stay in your zone. You also have the heart map where you breathe in deeply and you set the environment 12 feet around you to be a calm environment. For me, in this last exam, I was so composed, and the person beside me was going even faster than I was. But instead of freaking out about it, I was more appreciative of the fact that this person beside me obviously knows what he's doing, and I'm glad to be in this energy. I'm glad to be around this company. He
Cool.
finished his exam superbly fast.
Yeah. And hopefully with a good score. It's so wonderful to hear you talk about these tools like heart math and the circle of excellence and tapping and so on. I just think sometimes people think this is all woo or just made up stuff, but it makes a difference, doesn't it?
It absolutely makes a difference. And it doesn't just make a difference for when you're studying for the bar exam. These are tools, I believe, for life. I've worked as a law clerk and I've utilized them while working. In order to get in the zone, I'll be listening to one of the paraliminals, for example. I find them to be very useful.
Yeah,
I'm a big advocate for the paraliminals.
yeah. This is for those of you that don't know, paraliminals are audio recordings produced by a partner of ours, Learning Strategies, and we've curated them for the bar exam. You're hearing one voice in the left ear, another voice soundtrack in the right ear, and essentially they're putting you in a meditative state so that you can deal with whatever's going on. So we have paraliminals on focus and rest and study and all sorts of different topics. I love the 10-minute supercharger just when I'm feeling tired. Do you use that one?
I use the 10-minute supercharger, absolutely. But one of my favorites is actually focused on concentration. I really love that one. And I find that I've sped it up. Ever since doing your course, Jackson, I don't listen to things on one anymore. I'm like, this is too slow for me. No, I have to speed it up. So I'll be listening to audiobooks very fast.
That's great. I want to talk for a minute about what it's like as a foreign trained attorney to come in and take the bar exam in the US, because I know that we have a lot of people in our audience who are in that position. They're somewhere else in the world. They're thinking about taking the exam. And it's a scary proposition, isn't it?
Absolutely is scary because you don't know what the bar exam is. It's scary also because of the hoorah over the bar exam. And it's scary also because people will be telling you that, oh, you know that you have a very low chance of passing the bar exam. I remember my first time taking the bar exam. I think I wasn't as scared because I did not know. And when I went to study in a library where other bar takers were studying, this young lady said to me that people fail. And I was like, oh, really? And I think that's when it dawned on me that it's a possibility that I may go into this exam and fail it because I was not contemplating failure at all. So, in a sense, I believe we have to guard our minds as well because this exam is very much a test of your mental state of being.
Yeah, your mindset really matters here, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
absolutely matters. I think that if you haven't failed, just use it as a guide to say, okay, I need to work on this. Because for me, each time that I've studied, I've learned several other things. It's a deeper dive into what's going on.
And really, the process for you was you just kept moving up, and then you just exploded over the top with this incredible score. Tell us what happened when results came out, because New York does this weird thing. They just send you an email. You don't know it's coming. And this year they sent the email and the link didn't work initially, and it was all sorts of chaos. But what was your experience?
So my experience was this. I was from sitting the exam, I was very much emotionally detached from it. So I came out of it and I said to myself that it's a possibility that I may pass, having failed several times before, and it's a possibility that I may fail. Whichever it is, I'm going to sit it one more time. And I had a laser fear attitude going into the exam as well, because all other times I had a hyped up attitude towards it as well. So this time I was not even bothered. I was actually in the gym when a friend called me to ask me whether or not I saw my results. And I was like, no. And she was like, results are out. Aren't you going to check? And I was like, eventually I will. And so I went home with my best friend and he was like, let me check it. So he sent me into my aunt's office. Then he checked it and he came over to me and said, I'm so sorry. Great attempt though. And then I was like, I failed? And he was like, yes. And I said, okay. And then he was like, congratulations, you passed the bar exam. And I exploded. I didn't believe him when he was saying that. And I was like, for real? He was like, yes, you passed with a score of 288. And then I saw the letter. And that was.
Oh my gosh, what a great moment. And with this score, you can go anywhere that will recognize your Jamaican credentials. So it's an incredible accomplishment. I know your family is proud of you. I know your friends are proud of you. What does it feel like to you now, reflecting just a little bit, and we're not very far after the results have come out, but what's it feel like today?
I feel so grateful. And I feel grateful because for years I've had this on my mind. It has been a thing to do. It has not. It dawned on me when I started to clear out my study space, when I started to take down the study charts. And I was like, wow, I don't have to do this again. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money that has been invested. It's a lot of sacrifice. And so to know that this is behind me, it feels superbly grateful. It means that my income can go up now. It means I can start growing as a professional. So it really feels monumental. It feels great.
Ralston, we are so proud of you. We're delighted that we could be part of the journey. Your insatiable appetite to win has stayed with ever since I met you. And to see this success, for you to have this success is just a moment of pure joy. I have to tell you. And this is the first time you and I've had a chance to talk since you told me about your results.
Yes.
I'm going to try not to cry. You're one of those people that we just root for. We're like, oh, come on, Ralston, you can do it, buddy. And then sometimes people get to this point, they get close, they can't quite get over the number, and then they just explode past it. And it's such a moment of relief, but it's also such an incredible accomplishment. I gotta say, I'm just proud of you, man.
Thank you, Jackson. And honestly, Jackson, one of the things I really believe that Celebration by Review is special. I'm so grateful because it has caused me to dive deeper into heart math. I actually purchased one of the things that they put on here to monitor the composure at which you're going. And I studied with that as well from the Heart Math Institute. And I'm actually very curious to find out more about both the Heart Math Institute. I'm very grateful for Celebration by Review for exposing me to all of these amazing, just human experience. And I think that you have something special, and you are special as well. So thank you.
Thank you, my friend. That is very kind. The Heart Math Institute, for those that don't know, the reason Ralston's pulling on his ear is that you put a little tab on your ear and it connects up, and it actually measures heart rate and your focus. And so it helps you get into the zone. It's a tool that we offer, and our friend Millicent St. Clair of Learning Strategies is a great proponent of that. We were just talking about it this weekend at Bootcamp, along with PhotoReading and some of these other tools. I think that when people begin to realize that these tools are not just for the bar exam, but they're life tools, PhotoReading, some of the other things, it really is a shock to them, isn't it? It's like, oh, wow, I can use this outside the bar.
Yeah, it is a shock. It is a shock. For me, I recognize one of my habits while studying was, instead of getting to the study, I would get up and get away. I found that when I started to just breathe deep and monitor, because you have the visual cue of whether or not you're focused and just your heart rate being in that flow state, it was very helpful.
Yeah, I know that this interview will inspire a lot of people. What advice would you give someone who perhaps is considering the exam, or maybe they've taken the exam and been unsuccessful, and they're trying to figure out what to do now? What would you say to them?
I would say believe, but not only believe, just apply. When there's a lot of noise, try your best to calm yourself down. Just observe yourself not being very calm, and recognize it's okay not to be calm. And you not being calm doesn't mean you're going to fail. You're just going through a moment. Just get back on track. Just get back on track and do your work consistently, grind at it, and hold yourself accountable while you're doing it. But don't kill yourself. Love yourself through the process. That would be my advice.
Yeah, hold the baton, get around that second corner, keep pumping your legs, keep going, get into that mindset and go for it. Ralston, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for inspiring. I know this interview is going to just inspire a ton of people, and we're very grateful for that. And I know that you will have enormous success as an attorney. You're going to get licensed in New York for sure. Are you thinking about any other jurisdictions, or are you going to focus in New York?
I'm definitely thinking about other jurisdictions. I'm not sure. I definitely have to do some more investigation relating to other jurisdictions that I may be able to wave into as well.
Yeah, but it's so exciting, isn't it? You're going to be an impactful member of the bar, and we are delighted that we could have been part of the journey. I hope that you and the audience are as thrilled and excited and inspired as I am to hear Ralston's story. I can only tell you that if you have the opportunity to meet this wonderful guy, he will inspire you. He will lift your spirits. He is just a treasure, and we are so thrilled that we could be part of that. So thank you again, Ralston. Congratulations again. And to all of you in the audience, thank you for being with us. And we'll see you again with our next hangout. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jackson.